the wonderful world of sports. Radio Sports Scoreboard.
I feel like Blake played that sounder for a second.
Kind of like Rush Me
Kind
Along.
of like the Oscars
Hey,
when your
yeah.
speech goes too long.
Let's get this.
Sorry.
Come on.
Jeez. This Sports for the Day is brought to you by Early Bird CBD and their gummies. Speaking of enjoying yourself and not feeling like garbage in the morning, that is what the Early Bird CBD gummies can do for you. And you might be thinking like, I've heard of CBD gummies, all the same, blah, 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 same thing. Oh, yeah? Well, these are different. Here's how you can know that we're serious about this. Do not take them if you have a drug test you're worried about. Why? Because they have actual THC in them, a microdose. I almost said mild, then went with microdose, 2.5 natural THC. They're not necessarily sleep gummies, but they are nice for a nice relaxation. You're heading out with some friends. Maybe you're going to a concert. I might go see Mark Rubier this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
The Luke
nice.
Daddy. I will be enjoying my Early Bird CBD
It's a good idea.
before checking that out.
I need to get a hold of these. I have not tried them yet, and I'm keep waiting for one of you guys to open up your backpack and hand me a couple. Because I think that would be awesome. Because like I just said, if you're not drinking really or at all in your case, and you still want to kind of chill out at night and maybe kind of feel something that's different than your day. And I've tried CBD, and I've never had really good luck with it. But this sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
Kid put down gets a lot easier.
Yeah, I think he's talking about him, by the way, Blake putting his child down by him, Blake taking the CBD gummy. I want to be very, very clear about
They're vitamins, son.
When he's going nuts,
Okay.
I'm a little
Edgy.
less. Yeah.
Okay.
Edge. It's great.
Yeah, I think
No,
we
I'm
cleaned
not
that up properly.
takes the edge
giving
off
my
of you.
child THC.
Right.
Yep, I think we cleaned that up properly. So, yeah, I could give you some, Danny.
Please.
And I will. But also, other option, earlybirdcbd.com, where you can use promo code DUMBZONE. That's good for 20% off as long as they're a client. So go to earlybirdcbd.com and our promo code DUMBZONE, 20% off. Get you some Early Bird. It's nice little evening, take the edge off. Hey, take some and go for a walk on a Saturday.
I'm all about it.
Highly recommend.
I'm going to use this coupon code and get 20% off at their website rather than relying on you boneheads to share your stash with me.
Hey,
I'm not sharing.
respect. All right. Thank you to Early Bird CBD. So sports today, we did have, I guess we'll talk a little Texas and college football tomorrow, but it was just a great weekend of watching ball. Just a great weekend of watching ball. NFL yesterday, we had a couple of big-time matchups. Didn't see this coming, but right now, pending the Vikings quarterback situation going forward, but it feels like Vikings-Lions is going to be a 4 or 5 year rivalry that we get to watch twice a year. It's very exciting. I like both their coaches. I like Jared Goff. I tolerate Sam Darnold. Both of them have a bunch of super fun players on both sides of the ball. Sucks Hutch is out, but didn't seem to be a problem for him on Sunday. They were still all over Darnold. That was a fun game. Back and forth and back and forth. And, of course, the Lions come out on top. Dan Campbell. And they just have so many guys I love. We talked about this last week, but Jahmyr Gibbs with a nice 45-yarder. I love watching most teams second and sometimes even third backs and being like, that would be the best running back Dallas has.
Well, yeah, he was a first-round pick.
Sure, but, even Aaron Jones is old.
Yeah.
And, they were able to pick him up. I don't know what his deal is. It's probably not more than a couple years. But he's 29, and he's still giving them plenty.
Yeah, my main takeaway from that game was look how fun these teams are.
Yeah, dude's doing crazy stuff.
And not like off the wall. I mean, just different formations, motion, just unpredictable on offense. And I left that game thinking Cowboys are not in these guys' league at all.
No. Amon-Ra is such a beast. Right now, it feels as if he's edged in front of CD.
Really?
Right now. Better scheme, better quarterback, better offensive line. Not better quarterback necessarily, but playing better right now. But better offensive line, better scheme. He doesn't have to do it all himself. I mean.
Does he have anybody else in his core that garners attention?
Yeah. That's
unlike CD?
Right.
Yeah.
Both running backs can catch. Sam Laporta will pop up every now and then.
Laporta is a 2. Jamison Williams is a 2, I think.
Yeah. No, they definitely stacked up picks. But then, on the other side, mean, the fact that Jordan Addison could be considered a third wide receiver. And I know his numbers haven't been great, but he had a 51-yarder in this game. That was a fun game. NFC North.
Dude.
Might not be that bad. Plays a fun brand of football,
Just
too.
a historically garbage division,
Yeah.
too. I mean, that from top to bottom, out of those 4 teams, what was this, week 7? Week 7. They have 6 losses between the 4 teams. 2 5-1s and 2 5-2.
Yeah, the Bears were on the bye, but yeah,
that's right.
Even the Packers yesterday, the Texans didn't play great, but the Packers, they eked out another win.
Yeah.
I mean, there were good games yesterday that were like, these are what real teams look like. Texans, Packers, that was a fun one. Lions, Vikings. Let's see, we had the Joe Shane game.
Yeah, that played out exactly how you thought it would.
Where Saquon goes back to New York. Of course, the famous scene from their Hard Knocks offseason where the GM of the Giants is deciding that they're not going to go up to a certain number for Saquon. And maybe in the long run it'll end up being the right decision. Who knows? But their owner, the rich crypt keeper, walks in there and he's like, I sure would hate to see Saquon. I don't know why I just turned into Bill Clinton.
Keep going.
In an Eagles uniform. And they're like, he's not going to Philly. Well, he did. And then in his first game back, he went 17 for 176. God. Couple catches as well. Like, Jalen Hurts still looked like ass.
Yeah, he has. But, I mean, even if the Giants keep Saquon at that number, I don't know, what would he have, 15 for 40? That's not a good offense. He was not going to make or break that offense. I feel like that's the right move to let him walk.
It might be.
And it's just
but
unfortunate
it won't be
where
this
he went.
year.
Yeah.
Because you have to figure a big-time drop-off is coming for Saquon at some point.
Yeah.
It's a 3-year deal. They benched Danny Dimes.
Wow.
Sort of. I mean, they were getting their ass kicked, but they got Drew Lock.
Put on. I did see where the Eagles sacked him 8 times.
Yes.
So maybe it's a little bit of protection for him.
They're so screwed. I love it. I really do.
Yeah.
Because I needed them to stay bad, and it helps that Philly is struggling too. Like, I think yesterday or the last 2 weeks, Philly barely beating the Browns, and then watching Jalen Hurts yesterday, even in a win. I think I've changed my mind from Philly's just kind of asleep and they'll wake up and they're still a real problem in the division to that team's just not very good. And I need 2 of these teams to suck so that in week 16 I can convince myself the Cowboys still have a shot at the playoffs with 2 games left. Because the Commanders are now, unfortunately, actually good.
Yeah. Need to hear about what Daniels is going through.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I want to ride Mariota if I'm a fan of the Commanders, but Cliff might be that good when he's an offensive play card. Mariota was awesome yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like he did when he was good for, like,
at Oregon.
Yeah, a couple of, like, decent stretches in his career, but the way they were using him, the weapons they have, like, he's throwing touchdowns to Zach Ertz, who somehow is still...
He knows that system. It's amazing how they've gotten to be a cool and fun team in just 1 year with DQ, Cliff, and Jaden Daniels. It's amazing.
Yeah, that says a lot about the perception of your ownership, because you never really want to have a situation where you get fired or leave a company, and within like 3 months, everyone's really just like, this is totally different. Like, that means you're a cancer. They get a new owner, they get a new quarterback, they get a new coach, they get a hot-ass OC. Their running back got shot and came out to 50 cents mini-min.
Got Scary Terry.
Scary Terry's over there. They got Eckler for whatever that's worth.
Question about Cliff. So, what are they, 5-1?
5-2.
5-2?
Yeah.
If they run through the NFC East, make the playoffs, make, somewhat of a dent, look good in the playoffs, will somebody be seduced again? Maybe not this year, but next year, if that trend continues, will somebody be seduced by Kingsbury enough to offer him another head coaching job? Or do you think that
I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sign me up.
even though that now you kind of see what his deal is, that he's a really good OC, but as a head coach, maybe not so much.
I don't know if I would be super on board. I'd be on board
because there's other. I feel like there's would Mike Zimmer be an example of that, where he had head jobs before? I know, and now it's just kind of like you are what you are, and you kind of stay.
Yeah.
In that.
Yes,
on
but
that rung.
He's old. Like he's 68. So at that point, you're like, I'm not starting again with Mike Zimmer. Whereas with Cliff, he's still young enough to where, and he's an offensive coordinator, which, whether this is wise or not, makes owners hard. And it makes GMs very, very fired up about it. So I don't know. I would say I don't know if it's the right move, but he'll get another head coach.
He'll get another opportunity.
And the team or the organization will tell themselves, he probably learned a lot his first time around.
Yeah.
And you can't really argue with the results of what he gets from quarterbacks. Kyler was hurt a lot. Their team was just in shambles. But from freaking Manziel to Baker to Caleb, there's to obviously Patrick Mahomes, and now Jaden is like, it's year one, and they're already talking about the guy being in the MVP race. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but I'm pretty sure, given what Jaden Daniels has turned in, Cliff is going to get offered another job.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals, they had a couple years under Cliff where they were decent. Now they fell off, but I remember them beating the Cowboys pretty bad here, and the best Kyler has looked has been under Cliff.
Didn't we have like an RG3 Romo moment with Kyler Murray and Dak where he kind of gave him a
Did we?
Keep your head up type thing?
You'll get there.
That was a low point in Cowboy history when RG3 torched him in a win and get in game, and he just kind of like patted Romo on his head. He's a rookie.
Messed up his hair.
He's like, you'll get there, pal. Probably not, but I'm going to say that. Let's see. What else did we have? So Saquon, that was a fun one. Yeah, let's talk Chiefs. Let's talk Chiefs-Niners.
Niners are okay. So when you look at the NFL, you see elite, and I think what's going on in the Central or the North is pretty special in the NFC. And then you have like obvious garbage, and then you kind of have that gaggle in the middle. And some of the gaggle, they are just what they are. And then the other part of the gaggle are teams that that should be good, but they're riddled with injuries.
Yeah.
Which I think San Francisco kind of falls under that category of a team that should be better than what they are, but they're just banged up. I think the Cowboys are kind of both.
Yeah.
I think they're banged up and they're also kind of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, that's and it's interesting too because all of the Cowboys' biggest injuries are on the defensive side of the ball, and for the 49ers, it's primarily the offensive side of the ball, especially after yesterday when Ayuk left, carted off, and Debo was apparently sick. That felt a little shady to me. Like, he wasn't on the injury report, and then he plays a couple plays, and like, he's sick. He's been sick. Like, okay, well, why wasn't – I mean, I don't care about this because I don't really gamble, and I don't play fantasy. But if I were really into that, I'd be pretty pissed off. Like, that was a big-time weapon, and he played 3 snaps and left the game because he's sick. Well, he didn't get sick at 4:25 Santa Clara time. He had to have been sick for a couple days.
It could have been one of those things, though, when he woke up that morning and you feel great when you wake up. It's like, oh, I think I'm good to go. And then you try to exert yourself in any way, and you realize you're not as good as you thought you were.
What if you had diarrhea?
He could have had diarrhea, Jake. Dirty, dirty diarrhea.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I would make an exception for diarrhea, guys. That's
It's something you don't argue with.
that's true.
If somebody tells you have diarrhea or they have diarrhea, you just believe it.
Yeah.
I've never had anybody tell me that I've had diarrhea.
If I ever do in your presence, I will tell you.
Will you tell me that I have diarrhea?
No, like
Danny, you have diarrhea.
You know, no one's ever said that to me before.
I'm gonna speak it into existence.
Like you're
Yeah.
a magician. You have diarrhea.
Obviously, no C-Mac. Ayuk goes down. Like I said, Debo's sick. Heck, Ricky, I don't even know how to say the white kid's name.
Is it not Purcell?
Purcell, yeah. had to step in for him, make some plays yesterday, and he just came off the injury reserve for being shot.
Yeah. But he was supposed to be their Debo replacement.
Well,
yeah, without all the weapons, Purdy looks pretty pedestrian.
One of my favorite things in sports is how we just, when we're like, at some point I had to be like, I was wrong about Brock Purdy because the results were just too overwhelming. And I could say like, yeah, but he's got all these weapons. And then like, yeah, but look at all these plays he makes off schedule and his athleticism. And the more I watched him and the more they won and he played well, eventually I was just kind of like, all right, F it. This guy's actually good. I had to concede to Dan. And now we get to see what it looks like when you don't have like the best 5 skill position players grouped together you could possibly imagine. Pretty spare.
Yeah.
Look pretty spare. Holds on to the ball too long. Inaccurate throws.
Oh, we didn't mention Trent Williams got kicked out of that game too.
That was BS.
Well, yeah.
I get second guy always gets caught when it comes to scuffles and whatnot, but for ejecting someone, I think that means they looked at it. And if they looked at it, then you should be able to see he got punched in the helmet first. That should have been a double ejection. Also, I'm not really sure. I don't remember who the player was. I'm not really sure that if there's a single digit on my jersey or it starts with a 2 or a 3, I'm not hitting Trent Williams in the head.
Yeah.
It's a bad plan.
Yeah.
He's
That feels
like Zeus.
Feels like a 90s number thing.
Yeah. It just you're a little guy, little fella. But the Chiefs, man, they're doing this every week.
Why were they were underdogs? That was the silliest line in the weekend.
Well, I can think of a couple reasons, maybe. One, they've barely been winning.
Yeah.
Barely. They're on the road, and you had the 49ers are hungry. Because, one, they were sitting at 500, and 2, Mahomes has beat them 4 straight times, including twice in the Super Bowl. And it was only like 3, right?
If that. May have been like +1 or something.
Well, it's not like the Chiefs played great. Mahomes had a tip pass for an interception, he had a bad throw, but he also had some ridiculous plays, including probably the play of the game because it set up them to score to go ahead. A lot of people are upset about this today, but it was the 33-yard scramble.
Yeah, I don't quite know what to think either.
I think, and I'm not just saying this because he's a close personal friend of mine.
Because you get to call him Patrick.
Yeah, but I think what the rules are, you just use them. And it's the same reason why if James Harden played for your team, you would learn to like it. They're going to call the game how they're going to call the game. And if you didn't see the play, what we're speaking of is he takes off to the left edge, and when he's 4 or 5, maybe closer to 10 yards past the line of scrimmage, he starts to do his slow down, chop your feet like you're running out of bounds move while he's still in bounds, which most of the time means a defender that's coming at you will let up because they know if you hit Patrick Mahomes at full speed when he's even a step out of bounds, it's 15 yards at minimum. So he just started throttling down, and the defender stopped, and he just like slipped inside of him and kept running. He's like, I'm stopping, and you are going to stop as well because you think you can't hit me because I'll sell this and bitch about it. And the guy just ran right past him, and he kept running. It kind of happened twice. There were 2 dudes who could have ear-holed him, and there was a bunch of football players from the 60s and 70s yesterday that were like, football's woke and gay now. This kid would have been in a hospital had he tried this in my day.
Was there did people protest saying he can't do that? Like, could you see the demonstrative on the field with the officials afterwards? Or was it just
I don't think so. I don't think so because it's not illegal.
Yeah.
Because the other thing he does, which I've always thought was hilarious, that more people don't do it, I've mentioned it 1,000 times, is just the flag football move. Because when you get to the edge in flag football, if your quarterback knows what he's doing and he's pretty athletic, once he hits the edge, 0 people out there have the spatial awareness of a real football player. They do not, and the field is not always marked like the way that an NFL field is marked. People do not remember where the line of scrimmage was. So you'll routinely see it. Our quarterback is awesome at it. He will pump fake on the edge,
whether he's
6
no
yards
how long,
past the line of scrimmage, and every single time A DB will just jump up in the air and he'll run past him, and he'll do it again. He'll do it in midfield, like in the middle of the field. But it's like, where's he going to throw it? It works every time, and Mahomes still does it because in that moment you're like, oh, shit. So he did both those on that play, and then set up a touchdown. And he also just absolutely trucked a 49ers safety at the goal line for a score, and kind of did a little standover. That was tough. Malik Mustafa, I think is his name.
Mm-hmm.
He had like a dozen tackles, but in a very cool athlete move, when he got to his phone after the game, he immediately tweeted, this is the safety for the Niners, tweeted out the meme of that guy, the GIF, just saying, I'm not going to lie, I got cooked out there.
That's cool.
Like he knew. There's going to be an image of me Mahomes standing over me.
The side-by-side of them without their shirts on is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that guy's like just looks like an
yoked.
Adonis. Yeah, Mahomes has got Coors Light belly in the locker room.
He's been fishing at 5:30 in the morning.
Right. With Uncle Ken.
Let's see. Anything else for you? Because the biggest story of the day probably was Jameis and Deshaun. So we're gonna save that for after. We do have a twofer again tonight. Is this every week? Are they trying to do it most weeks, I guess?
What, the doubleheader Monday Night Football game?
Yeah, as long
where
as
they
it's
stagger them by what? Like, is it an hour or 90 minutes?
They've done it two different ways. This one is 45 minutes.
Okay.
They have had them like a West Coast, East Coast game
Yes.
where they've done it that way too. But I don't really understand the rhyme or reason behind it. I guess I'll take it.
This looks like it's the last one.
Okay. There have been way more this year. Am I crazy?
Another one in week 15. But yeah, it feels like that was a week 1 thing, but now it's...
Yeah, they always did it week 1.
What's the logic? Just to get more eyes from offering multiple markets?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because you can only show a few games on Sunday in each place, so I guess why not?
What are the viewing options? So typically Monday Night Football is only on one network. How are they doing this?
I'm pretty sure that there have been times before where one was on ABC and one was on ESPN.
Okay, still part of the same parent company.
And I think ESPN has all of it in there somehow.
Yeah.
I think this one is ESPN, and if you want to watch Chargers Cardinals tonight, which you don't.
I don't.
I believe that one is ESPN Plus. But big ABC and big ESPN will have Joe and Troy on Ravens Buccaneers, which is a pretty tasty matchup.
Hell yeah.
The only thing that stuck out to me was Doug Peterson kept his job in the second half because the Chargers were down, or excuse me, the Jaguars were down 10-0, I think, to the Patriots.
They were. In London. They didn't get left there.
So didn't they spend the whole week out there? Or they've been there before, the Jaguars?
They've definitely been there before.
Oh,
like this season.
They're the team of the
Yeah, they played the
UK.
Bears.
That
Was it
sounds
there?
right.
Or maybe some, I don't know. I can't keep track.
I'm pretty sure they played there this season because
They have.
That's the time that I was telling you guys that the TV was on early one Sunday morning, and my roommate walked in and was like, "Are you watching women's football?" Because Trevor Lawrence was on the screen.
That's
Interesting.
funny.
He had never seen the guy before, so
Sure.
he just looked at him on the sideline and thought, "Hey, that's a nice looking lady."
You want to talk about Russ last night?
Rush.
Yeah. Here, I'll play you a little bit of Russ audio. I thought this was funny. It's not really funny. It's just Russ is so generic and so – I think this guy I follow, Andrew Brandt, former agent, he tweets a lot, was like, this is like if AI created a quarterback.
Russ, first game for you since the preseason. What will allow you to get acclimated quickly?
Man, just being with the fellas, man, celebrating. What an opportunity it is. It's a great Sunday night football. We got one play at a time, be locked in, great fundamentals, and let's go get it.
What's the biggest obstacle that the Jets defense presents for you?
And they fly around, and they know how to play. They create turnovers and all that. We got to protect the football, go make big plays, and, it's going to be a great battle tonight.
What's the most important part of your routine from now until kickoff?
Man, just stay in the zone, Stay in the zone, listen to my worship music, and let's get it.
Best of luck. Enjoy it.
Yep.
Russell Wilson clearly in the zone.
Whoa.
Russell Wilson clearly on cocaine.
Yeah. Just listen here. This is for the real heads out there. As I throw it back to the studio, you get a very subtle Garrett Goofy laugh.
Best of luck. Enjoy it.
Yep.
Russ.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird night. I mean, they got down. Aaron Rodgers sucked at the beginning and then kind of got hot. Russell Wilson threw, I tweeted this last night, early in the game, the worst pass I've ever seen attempted in an NFL game. Like he was attempting to throw something out to the flats.
Yeah.
Kind of, if I recall, it was like a bubble. But it was a throw that would have been caught like behind the line of scrimmage. It was not like a downfield throw where it's like, oh, he threw it into the stands. Dude, it looked like when Tebow was trying to learn how to throw. Like at the NFL level, and you would see those. It looked like me. Like trying to throw the way you're supposed to throw. I can't do it. The receiver just looked at the ground like, what
was that?
What? And on the next play, it wasn't much better. And I'm like, dude, this is awful. He's so done. He went from let him cook to cooked. And then he got going.
And he looked pretty good.
He looked way better than he ever looked in Denver.
Yeah. He throws a very catchable deep ball. Man,
Pickens likey.
Pickens was great.
Yeah.
They're starting to use that giant-ass tight end they have.
Boy, that guy is a beast.
Yeah.
Didn't Aaron Rodgers have a tipped interception that kind of wasn't his fault?
Yeah.
Late in the game or at some point.
Yeah, but he wasn't very good past the first quarter, maybe first quarter and a half, but it was not. That team just sucks. And Devontae did nothing. Like he was, I don't even, let's see what targets he had.
God, we were talking about
9.
this.
I just saw he had 3 for 30 and thought, boy, he had 9.
I was talking with Skin yesterday about Devontae. It's like we were both hoping for a 12-catch, 219-yard game with 2 touchdowns.
Like
just to do kind of what Derrick Henry's been doing to this team all year.
It's not quite the same, but
mentally.
Amari Cooper had a pretty big day yesterday.
He had a really good day
for a guy who
true.
didn't know the playbook, so much so.
Well, that's true.
That one of the dudes Cooper was in the slot, and the guy on the outside, like Josh Allen changed the play at the line, and Amari's like, I don't have a clue what he's talking about. And very youth football style, the receiver on his side kind of like did the this way and that way.
Run a post.
And he ran it and scored.
Yeah.
He was open.
I always find so much pleasure when players that Jerry just undervalues or passes on do well on other teams. I love it.
God, Twitter was funny about that one because it was, I don't know, like a gif of Amari like running a route and having the pass hit you in the hands. It was like just worshiping him because he's come from Deshaun Watson to now Josh Allen.
That's crazy. I mean, dude, he went to go from Cleveland to Baltimore at this stage of the game, or excuse me, to Buffalo. You're not going to get much luckier than that.
Yeah.
I'm with you, though. I would have liked to have seen a big day from Devontae, and maybe they'll figure it out, but they're screwed. Their season's done.
So if they want to turn around and trade Mike Williams, are you into that?
Sure. What's his contract? You know what? At this point, I don't really care. I just think I think the Cowboys have to do something on the offensive side of the ball, playmaker-wise, or they have no shot.
Because he's kind of the odd man out there.
He is. Man, he's pretty much. He signed a 1-year deal.
Okay.
It's just a matter of when the Jets realize they're screwed.
Well, at 2-5.
The only thing is, that division sucks. So they're not going to win it, but they still get to play the Patriots and Dolphins. I would say at least 2 or if not 3 or 4 more games for them. But who knows?